America's Court with Judge Ross.
I did ask him about his sperm count.
You just met him and you're asking him about sperm count?
Yeah.
And 30 minutes in, you're like, so let's talk about that sperm.
Pretty much.
In my courtroom, it's about equity and fairness. Did you slap him?
I did slap him.
Stop. In that scenario, who should pay for it? Justice should be more than just some foreign concept. I actually want you to learn something. You don't provoke people when they're dealing with issues involving their mental health. Now, as a parent, that's the takeaway.
Fair, firm, compassionate. This is America's Court with Judge Ross. Linda Lewis claims her matchmaking reputation is at stake after two suitors were assaulted by a client and says she's owed the money she had to refund to them. Ms. Lewis is suing Jessica Ross in the amount of $10,000.
All rise. Remain standing and come to order. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Kevin Ross presiding.
Ladies and gentlemen, you may be seated.
All parties been sworn, Your Honor.
Thank you, Deputy Thomas. Miss, the Love Lady Lewis, you're suing Miss Ross here for $10,000 because we had a bad match in terms of the dating service that you provide.
True, Your Honor.
What made you decide to get into matchmaking?
Because I believe in love, Your Honor.
Who doesn't believe in love? And Miss Ross, you wanted to participate in being hooked up because?
Well, because both of the parties were also interested in me.
Okay, the guys picked you first.
Yeah, they did.
But before you even got there, what made you say, I'm going to give this a shot? Had you done this type of matchmaking service before?
I never done matchmaking
You've
before.
never done it before?
Never done
Why now?
Well, because, you know, I wanted to try something different.
What was happening before wasn't working?
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so had you been married? Had you been in relationships that just didn't work out?
I've just been in relationships that didn't work out.
And you're ready to get married now?
Yeah, this time I am.
Okay, and so you're not just looking to date, you're looking for a husband? You want to have children?
Yes, I'm looking for a husband, and I'm also looking for children. I mean, to have children.
You're looking to have children, and you're looking for your soulmate?
Yeah, I'm nearly past 35.
Oh my God, you're ancient. It's over. It's all downhill from here.
Yeah.
You don't really believe that, do you? Does it feel that way to you?
I mean, I am, because I see all my friends and all my family members already married, and I'm just like, well, what's going on with me?
The men, she said, Ms. Ross said, picked her.
Yes.
You sort of get the men all together, have background checks, make them go through some sort of classes or something. Talk to me about
that. Both parties are totally vetted. Background checks, any
credit or criminal.
Well, for the men, it is credit as well, because a lot of the women are interested in their financial status.
So the men don't necessarily ask for the women's financial situations, but disproportionately the women are like,
yes,
is he going to have benefits?
Yes, that's right. Yeah, and the men just look at what they see.
Okay.
To them, that's all they need to know.
And so we look at their financial situations. We look and see if they don't have any criminal histories. And anything else?
Well, they also have to go through an etiquette class as well.
And what do you teach in the etiquette class?
How to behave in social settings.
Give me an example.
What is appropriate? Like, you just don't go up and grab somebody when you meet them.
That's the issue that we're here for. There was something that happened with one of the men.
Actually, two men.
There were two men who said, we like what we see potentially in Miss Ross. So they conveyed that to you, or how did it work?
They did. So when I had our meet and greet, then I introduced them to the first gentleman. Then I mingled, because there are a lot of other people involved.
How does the guy tell you, I'm interested in Miss Ross?
I know that before we arrive. Because
they've already seen her in terms of what, video, picture?
Yes, yeah. They see a video, she speaks, says a little bit about herself, the way she carries herself.
Let's talk about man one with Miss Ross. Miss Ross, what did you think of the man when you met him?
Well, to begin with, I thought he was very attractive.
Okay.
He was like 6'3".
What else?
I did ask him about his sperm count.
You just met him and you're asking him about sperm count?
Yeah.
Why are you asking him? I mean, how long had you known him?
I mean, I know him for just that day. I was like...
I mean, had you been in conversation with him for half an hour?
I was in conversation with him for half an hour.
And 30 minutes in, you're like, so let's talk about that sperm.
Pretty much.
And what was his reaction? Because I'm thinking what my reaction would be, but what was his?
Well, obviously he was a little terrified. He was like, why would you ask me that?
Why did you? Because you knew what you were doing.
Well, yeah, of course, because I had to ask because, I mean, he's tall, he's 6'3". I mean, he has athletic build. So obviously I'm going to have healthy children with him.
Coming up on America's Court.
And not only did she do that, she patted him on the butt as he walked away to find me. So embarrassing.
And later.
By not paying him overtime.
Well, I gave him the option on certain parts. I gave him the option.
This is how I'm going to mentor you, sir. Get as much out of your employee as you possibly can and pay him the least amount you can.
Closed captioning provided by... This is America's Court with Judge Ross. America's Court is back with the case of Linda Lewis, who is suing Jessica Ross for breach of contract.
And then what else did you engage him with in terms of conversation?
You know, I asked him if he wanted a couple drinks. He was like, no, I'm good. And then after that, he just walked off.
That's it?
Pretty much.
That seems odd to me, given that he was so interested in meeting you to begin with. Is there something that I'm missing?
I have never, in all of these years, over 20 years, I've never had anyone ever be assaulted. He said she more or less grabbed his business, if you catch my drift.
I catch your drift.
Yes.
And then what happened?
He was dumbfounded and mortified because I had assured both parties no one's going to touch anyone, nobody's going to even get that close. Everyone has signed, which I have the copy that she signed.
Yes.
And both copies of checks, Your Honor.
Ms. Ross, talk to me. Did you touch his genitalia?
I did. I went for it.
Okay. You know, to be honest, I was expecting you to say, no, that didn't happen. But you're owning it. You're saying you touched this man who you just met.
Oh, absolutely. He's 6'3". I mean, what do you expect?
I don't expect that. Wasn't there a code of conduct that you agreed to?
I did.
Does the code of conduct talk about there being
it's highlighted, Your Honor, and then her signature.
Any abusive, threatening, harassing, obscene, offensive, sexist, racist, or discriminatory manner towards any client, member, and or employee of the lovely lady? And you signed this agreement.
Yeah.
So you're in violation of the agreement, correct?
I mean, you're
shrugging your shoulders like, yes, so what? But that's why you're being sued. And so I take it he wanted his money back because he said, I didn't sign up for this.
Oh, he did. He did. And not only that, there was a second gentleman who is a very upstanding client of mine. Went out with Jessica. They had a couple of drinks. This time, they both did drink. She actually was singing a song to him and used the N-word in a song. So he promptly came and found me and said that she was a low-key racist. And not only did she do that, she patted him on the butt as he walked away to find me. So embarrassing. I felt so bad for the man.
Ms. Ross, did you pat the man on the buttocks?
I did.
Okay. You saw the reaction that the previous person had in terms of abruptly ending the interaction with you. You didn't read the room at that point and say, oh, maybe this is not in line with what we're trying to do here?
No, because he had a big butt.
Here's what I'm seeing. This is just who you are.
I'm
and
being
in situations
100%
where
my
you're
authentic
going
self.
out with someone on your own and you're just meeting people, but if you keep having situations where you're not connecting with men, the common denominator is you. And if it's a situation where you're like, what am I doing wrong? And you're not picking up on, well, maybe you're being a little too aggressive. Maybe you're being a little too assertive. Maybe you're being a little too friendly. If you have a relationship with someone and you want to pat them on the butt or you want to touch them in their groin area.
But at that point, we had
and you have permission, then that's a whole different thing. And so the question is, both men ended up getting $5,000 because they wanted their money back because they were ticked off.
Yes.
And you're saying, because I lost $10,000, I should be able to get that cost back from her.
Yes, because it was not only that. Like I said, my reputation was at stake. I've been doing this over 20 years.
We've established that it's been 20 years.
And trust me, someone like Miss Jessica is never going to meet the caliber of men that I introduced her to.
Please,
No,
I've been on
wrong way.
expensive dates.
So here's what we have, because based on the evidence and the testimony before this court, the gavel is going to come down in favor of the defendant. Here's the issue. I've got this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-page contract that delineates all the specificities of this is how we're going to operate. You talk about everything other than being subjected to liability in the event that you are in breach or you somehow don't comply. She didn't sign off on that. Because what I have is a contract that's very clear in all these other areas. I would think you would say in here, if it turns out that someone's behavior is inappropriate and their money has to be refunded, you will be responsible for that. It's just another paragraph. And I don't see it here. And I'm looking through what the person's prohibited, but there's no consequence in your contract as to what would happen as a result.
And she should have known better.
Ma'am.
None of my clients have been assaulted.
Ms. Lewis, am I wrong? Is there some part of this contract that I'm missing?
No. No, you're right. You're right.
Then unfortunately, your matter's dismissed. That is the order. Case closed.
All rise.
Judge Ross has ruled in favor of the defendant. The plaintiff's claim has been dismissed.
I don't know what your problem is. You're never going to meet a man. Seriously. You need to just go to the street. I think that's where you belong.
Coming up on America's Court with Judge Ross.
Was part of the reason.